The Suzuki S-Cross has long been a utilitarian looking off-roader. Rugged looks, all-grip all-wheel drive, great. But that doesn't really sell nowadays. I mean, even hard-as-nails off-roaders look like swanky concept cars. So, Suzuki has toned down the S-Cross's bohemianism a little bit and updated it. So it looks a little bit less awkward and more modern. It's kind of gone from looking like this to looking like this. Okay, so the S-Cross still looks a little bit 10 years ago. I personally think it looks quite good. But the more significant modernisations come in the form of the S-Cross's full hybrid system, which is an evolution of the electrical boost mild hybrid system that's still available elsewhere in the range. So with this new full hybrid system, Suzuki claims that the S-Cross is more efficient than the equivalent hybrid models of the Nissan Qashqai and Kia Sportage. Anyway, let's take a closer look. Before we jump in, make sure you subscribe to the Business Car YouTube channel so you can get updated on all our latest reviews. There we go. So, I reckon the interior of the S-Cross feels more like a hatchback than an SUV. And by that I mean everything just feels a bit more simplified, easy to digest, and just easier in general to get your head around, and that is not a bad thing. I reckon sitting in here for 15 minutes and noodling about, you could pretty much become an expert on everything the car has to offer. Now there's two trims available, Motion and Ultra, this being the Ultra model, so this is as plush as the S-Cross is gonna get. And I guess the biggest plus of the Ultra model is this 9-inch touchscreen. The standard Motion model gets a 7-inch screen that just looks, well, too small if you ask me. Other highlights of the Ultra trim include sat-nav, leather upholstery, a panoramic roof, a 360-degree camera, and 4-wheel drive. But honestly, kit is one of, if not the best attribute of the S-Cross as a whole, really. Even entry-level Motion models get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, adaptive cruise control, a rear parking camera and sensors, heated seats, dual zone aircon, and an extensive list of safety kit as well, like lane departure warning, traffic sign recognition, and blind spot monitoring. I mean, that is a hell of a lot of kit. So yeah, spot on, Suzuki. The touchscreen is okay functionality-wise. It's probably the one thing in the cabin that does feel a little bit clunky and outdated. Well, that and the floor mats. But yeah, once you spend a little bit of time with it, you do get used to its functions. One thing I do really like actually is the part digital, part analog display behind the steering wheel. I mean, you've got proper dials there that you can see when you're revving the engine up and down, and I think that's quite rare to find nowadays. Something that's mechanical and pure, and I don't know, I just really like it. Apart from that, the door bins are, they're not very wide, but they are deep. They will swallow a big bottle like this. The cup holders, not very flexible, but easily fit a coffee cup. You've got a little bit of storage down here, and the glove box is a good size as well. One thing I do really like practicality wise is the fact that you've got this bifocal-esque rear view mirror, so you can go like that, keep an eye on your kids, but you can also see the traffic behind at the same time. It's the little things, isn't it? Now, a lot of people will be wondering whether this S-Cross has that typical scratchy plastic Suzuki feel. Yes, it does, but I wouldn't say it's overwhelming. Like I've probably said in other Suzukis, I think it's more endearing rather than anything else, because it just lets you know that the car's gonna be okay and it's gonna take a bit of a battering and stand the test of time, really. Yeah. Now, the rear seats are a bit of a funny one because, first off, nice wide opening doors. Ooh, very easy to climb in. And then, once you're in here, your feet can slip under the seat in front. You've got loads of knee room, look at that. Then you put your head back, and yeah, you can literally hear my hair being ruined by the roof. So, as part of our model, you get the panoramic roof, and it eats in a few inches to headspace, and it's just a little bit disappointing. I mean, even if you didn't have this, you'd probably just about get away with it, have about that much space. But with it, I mean, yeah, headroom is a little bit pants. Apart from the headroom though, you've got only a little bit of a hump in the floor, so sitting in the middle seat is very comfortable. You've also got a fold down armrest with some cup holders, and you've got those same deep door bins from the front. But yeah, just the headroom is a little bit disappointing. If I went a bit more maverick with my gel this morning, I'd have been very uncomfortable. Now, as this is a hybrid, you do lose a bit of boot space because of the batteries and things like that under here. Basically, you lose about that much space, so any underfloor storage you were going to have is gone. And similar to the front, similar to the cabin, This boot is more hatchback than SUV, I'd say, which in this instance isn't necessarily a good thing. It's not massive. It's big enough for shopping, things like that, maybe a stroller if you put it on the side, but yeah, it's not massive. At least you don't have a load lip, you get a bit of storage either side on the wheel arches, and those seats do fold down flat. So the full hybrid system in the S-Cross takes the form of a 1.5 litre naturally aspirated petrol with 115 horsepower, and this sits alongside a 24 kilowatt motor generator unit and a 140 volt lithium ion battery. And as you'd expect with a low powered naturally aspirated petrol engine, you are going to be made aware of this engine's presence when you're ever out and when you work it, because yeah, it's pretty noisy. This S-Cross also makes use of an AGS automated manual transmission. Now, this is basically functions like an automatic, but it's kind of still like a manual. So when you change up and down gears, you can almost hear a little bit of a lull between the gear changes, like someone's, you know, releasing the clutch and shifting into gear, like there's a little man inside doing that for you. It's not off-putting by any means. It actually works quite well. It works particularly well when you're approaching junctions and roundabouts and you need to drop down a few gears and then shift back and shoot off. It works pretty seamlessly, a lot better than a lot of regular automatics out there. And overall, this engine and transmission combination works pretty well. I mean, okay, it's a little bit unrefined at times, and it's pretty hilarious how long it can take to shift up when you put your foot down sometimes. Third gear. Fourth gear. Fifth gear. But overall, the transmission and the engine combination is okay. And in fact, the hybrid system does work pretty seamlessly in the background. And speaking of the hybrid system, even though this is the full fat hybrid, it's not one of those hybrids that you get 10 miles an hour of all electric range around the city at low speeds in. It's one of those that takes a bit of a back seat and just dips in and out every now and then, just giving you a little bit of an electrical boost here and there. I mean, it does a pretty good job, evidently, from the figures. I mean, we've been getting an average of around 47 miles per gallon, which is pretty close to Suzuki's claimed average of 48.7. Yeah, it's pretty good. And if you're a company car driver, you can expect to pay a BAK tax rate of 31% for 2023 and 2024. So what's the S-Cross like to drive in general? Well, it's pretty beige, to be honest. But beige is absolutely fine for a lot of people. I mean, the steering's pretty light, it's communicative enough, I suppose. The suspension's really cushy, especially over harsh bumps. It tends to absorb them really well. Yeah. There's quite a bit of body roll in the corners, although you're probably not going to be going around corners fast. And you do feel like you're sat in a big SUV, which is a big plus, especially considering it's only a, it's only a small car. And you have got that all-wheel drive, just in case you want to venture onto any muddy fields and want a bit of extra peace of mind. But apart from that, I haven't really got anything to say about its drive. It does the job. So, it's a familiar story with the S-Cross. It's better than previous generations. It's got impressive kit levels. It's got decent fuel economy. It's got a competitive price tag, and it'll likely take an absolute battering before you look to sell it on. Okay, so it doesn't offer standout looks, a standout interior design, or a standout drive. So to a lot of people, it might just be easily discounted. But to others, especially those after value or those who already have a bond with the Suzuki brand, it'll make total sense.